meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Prayer will be offered by City Clerk Sue Lovering, and Alderman Lopez will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with the spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us, God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As president of the Board of Aldermen, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-4, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda or the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099. The meeting ID is 878-2843-0451, and the passcode is 490368. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meetings through public postings. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at nashuanh.gov and publicly noticed at City Hall, the Nashua Public Library, and the Nashua Telegraph. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting by phone or Channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I would ask the city clerk to call the roll and ask that the members, to state the reason he or she could not attend, confirm that they could hear the proceedings, and state who is present with him or her. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
I am present. I can hear the proceedings. I am alone and practicing safe distancing.
Alderman Clee.
I am here. I am alone. I can hear everybody, and I am practicing social distancing.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderman Dowd.
Yes, I'm present. I can hear everyone. I am alone and practicing social distancing.
Alderman Karen.
Alderman Karen won't be joining us this evening.
Thank you, President Wiltshire.
You're welcome.
Alderman Clemens.
Good evening. I am here. I can hear everybody by myself at my house this evening. Thank you.
Alderman Lopez.
I can see and hear everybody. I'm here by myself at home. I was unable to attend because of the global pandemic and Nashua is seeing a surge in cases.
Alderman Tenza.
Alderman Tenza may not be joining us, or he may.
Thank you. Alderwoman Liu.
I'm here alone and I can hear you.
Alderman Jettie.
I'm here. I can hear the proceedings and I'm staying safer at home and I'm alone.
Alderman Schmidt.
I am present. I am alone in the room and it is still unsafe to gather.
Alderman Laws,
I'm here, I can hear you, and I am social distancing because of the pandemic.
Alderman Cleaver, Alderman Harriet Gathright,
I am present. I can hear you. I am practicing social distance and I'm in the room alone.
Alderman Wilshire.
I'm here, I am alone, and I am social distancing.
You have 11 in attendance.
Thank you. Also in attendance is Mayor Donches. I see Director Marchant. Anyone I'm missing? Dan Donovan. That's all I see right now. Okay, tonight's public hearing on Ordinance 20-34, extending temporary adjustments to site plans to allow for greater outdoor seating at restaurants. Is there someone here to give us an overview of this? Director Marchant.
Thank you, Alderman Wilshire. I will give it just a quick overview. This was enacted as an emergency measure back in June, I think, to complement some of the changes that the city was doing on public property and downtown. This is very specific only to private property. Since this was enacted, we had over 15 private property restaurants take advantage of this program, and they very much are interested in continuing. If so, we're asking for your approval to continue with this. There may be some that don't have outdoor seating over the winter, but would like to be able to reopen as quickly as they can in the spring, or some are interested in attempting to continue to have outdoor dining during the winter months. So we want to be able to accommodate those businesses that are trying really hard at this moment.
Thank you very much. As is customary, I will turn this over to not the chair. Alderman Tenzer is not with us this evening, but Alderman Laws as vice chair. Turn over the public hearing.
All right, well, I said I was prepared for that, but I'm not sure the procedure here. I thought we were gonna do the public hearing and then so I just call to see if there are any members of the public who'd like to speak?
Testimony in favor and testimony in opposition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I would like to hear if there's testimony in favor. If there are any members of the public who'd like to speak, they need to make it known because I can't see anybody. Testimony in opposition. One more time, testimony in favor. Testimony in opposition. All right. Testimony is closed. Hand it back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, and I will close the public hearing on Ordinance 20-34 at 7:08 p.m. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn by roll call.
The motion is to adjourn. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien,
Yes.
Alderman Clee,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Fantastic job, Alderman. And yes.
Alderwoman Lou,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt,
Yes.
Alderman Laws,
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright,
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
You have 11 yeas and 0 nays.
and we are adjourned from the special Board of Aldermen meeting at 7:09 p.m. So at this point, I will turn it over to Alderman Laws for the Planning and Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
As Vice Chair of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I find it due to the, do I have to read this again? Probably yes.
Yes.
All right. I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04. This public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which is authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda on the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, the number is 1-929-205-6099. The meeting ID is 878-2843-0451, and the passcode is 490368. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public posting. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at www.nashuanewhampshire.gov, nashuanh.gov, and publicly noticed at City Hall and the Nashua Public Library. If anybody has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Alderman Laws needs a clerk.
I can do that.
Thank you. Alderman Clemens, would you mind taking the roll?
I will do that. Give me just one moment here. Thank you. Alderman Tenza. Alderman Schmidt.
I am here and I am alone in the room.
Alderman Lopez.
I'm here. I can see and hear everybody, and I'm staying home because there's a pandemic and it's not safe to gather.
Alderman Clemens is here. I am alone and I can hear everybody. Alderman Laws.
I'm here, I'm alone, and I too can hear everybody.
So we have 4 that are present.
Worth noting that Alderman Tenza was double booked and will be joining us, I believe, before the meeting is over. Also in attendance, we've got
Elizabeth Lou.
Alderman Dowd, Alderman Gathright. I got to cross-check with my tenants. President Wilshire, Vice President O'Brien, Alderman Klee. Who did I miss? Director Marchant. Anybody else? Alderman Jetty. Okay. So, putting active, now is the time for public comment. Are there any members from the public that would like to speak about legislation before us tonight? Seeing none. Communications.
Thank you. From Linda McGee, Deputy Planning Manager, regarding referral from the Board of Aldermen on proposed Ordinance 20034, extending temporary adjustments to allow for greater outdoor seating restaurants.
There being no objection, accept the communication and place it on file. Unfinished business.
There is none.
New business resolutions.
Resolution 20090, authorizing the purchase of land and buildings at 55 Franklin Street, map 68, lot 53. For the purposes of discussion, I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
All right. Director Marchant, would you like to shine some light on this? No, you wouldn't.
I think this one might be Mr. Donovan.
Oh, Mr. Donovan.
Yes, thank you.
Please state your
55 Franklin Street. The The request is to purchase this facility for the school department. The Board of Education has approved the purchase of this by a unanimous vote. To give you a little background on this purchase, I looked at probably 15 to 20 different facilities in the city of Nashua as we've been looking for our Brentwood program over the last 5 to 6 years, and potentially for other purposes. It is very difficult to find a building that suits the needs of school children. There's a lot of requirements around that. There's many landlords that really aren't interested in leasing to schools. And the cost of taking an existing building and fitting it out for a school can be quite expensive. So we began looking around this past spring with the help of the Economic Development Director, Mr. Cummings. We visited a number of different schools, and Franklin Street, which was formerly the Nashua Christian Academy, the Nashua Christian School, I think was more accurate, was available. So we toured the school, and it's more suited to a school than any other building we have seen. A couple of reasons we were looking for another building was, one, our special education programs, especially for our preschool children. The state requires at this point that special education children age 3 and higher need services to be provided by the local school district. That number of students has been increasing steadily in Nashua. We are up to 275 students at the beginning of this school year. And the number has increased probably 35 to 40 each year. So we had been running out of space in the current elementary schools. There's just no more space for the preschool programs. So the idea came about if we could consolidate most of those programs in one building. It would make a lot of sense for a number of reasons. We would have all the resources there. We could potentially have a little less staffing instead of more staffing because of everyone being in one place. And our OT and PT specialists would be in one place instead of spread around many places. So that was one of the reasons. And the other reason, we currently have a program called Brentwood, which is a way to keep some of our students from going to very, very expensive out-of-district programs. These are more high school students. Currently, we're renting a facility on Amherst Street. Last year's cost for that was $175,000. That lease ends at the end of this year. So we would have to negotiate another lease at that facility or look for something else. But to be honest, finding something else would be probably too difficult for us. So this sort of led to the Grace Fellowship Church is the owner of that building. They had it on the market for $2 million. We worked with them and negotiated with them. They are willing. We agreed on a price of $1,825,000. And a couple of positives to that. This is being done in excuse me, in an installment purchase, which makes it much more affordable for the district and probably won't require much in the way of bonding, if any at all. The plan going forward is to pay for this over 4 years. Now, if for some reason more funds became available, we could certainly accelerate that payment. But at this point, the plan is to pay, when we sign the deal this year, it'd be $600,000. The next 2 years would be $250,000, and the remaining $725,000 would be paid in the last year. There's sort of a unique funding opportunity this year. That's $600,000. We have $430,000 in a federal grant that's available to pay towards that $600,000. So the only amount we need to come up with during this current school year is $170,000. With the current situation where we haven't been sending students to school full time, I've probably already saved that much money in the busing line. So this year, there would be no increase to the operating budget. We would use a combination of that grant and the savings in the busing line to pay for year one. The next 2 years at $250,000, basically 175 of that would be coming from what we would have had in the budget for Brentwood. Because the plan is to move the preschool students on level 2 of the levels, and on the top floor, we would put the Brentwood program. So in years 2 and 3, 175 of the 250 payment is already sort of built into the budget, and would have to come up with 75,000 in the operating budget, which I'm sure we could do in those 2 years. And then the last year, we would also have the savings from the Brentwood program. My hope is that we would, over the next couple of years, potentially have some savings in the operating budget that we would use to chip away at that amount. But if we did not, the hope is that we would be able to use some of the excess bond funds in the middle school program. Currently, there's $7 million in reserves in the middle school project. One of the projects at Fairgrounds is moving along quite well. Doesn't look like we'll need any extra funds there. And there'll be more, we'll learn more about Pennachuck and the actual new middle school. But at this point, in speaking with the people involved, we feel there possibly would be that amount left. Couple other points. The P&S for this was prepared by Celia Leonard of the City Legal Department. We have had an architect come in and review it. And they've given us a report. Mr. Sean Smith, who's also on the call, projects we probably need about 250 to 300,000 in funds, which we've got set aside in this year's budget to get the school open for the fall of 2021. And the timing will be good if we can close this deal soon, so that gives plan ops times to do the work. So we can use our internal labor to do the work, and that'll save us a lot of money in getting this ready. So that is sort of a long summary, but that is our proposal that we're bringing forward tonight.
I don't think that was long. I think that was thorough. That being said, Alderman Tenza has arrived at the meeting. I'm not sure what protocol is, but I feel like I should finish at least this resolution and then hand the reins over to him.
Please run the entire meeting, Alderman Laws. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. I'm fantastic at it, so I don't mind. So my largest concern was this is just the cost of the building, and there's going to be an overhead cost of transferring the students and getting the building up to snuff to have students in it, but you just addressed that. So do any of my fellow aldermen have any questions? Alderman Liu.
Thank you, Alderman Laws. My question is, how many students are currently in the two populations that are going to be served in this building, please?
Currently, the special ed preschool student, the total is about 275. And the number in the Brentwood program is between 18 and 20, I believe.
Thank you.
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question, I have two questions, and one is actually a follow-up from the previous one, which is there room to grow in that building?
It's 4 floors. The hope is that the bottom floor will keep open for growth. That's somewhat of a basement, but it does have some light. So that floor is available. The Brentwood program would take the 4th floor. They'll be able to add some more students to that. I don't know the exact number we could probably add, but it's a 10,000 square foot space. Each floor is approximately 10,000 square feet. And the little ones, they're smaller individuals. So I'm sure there's room for some growth, yes.
Did Alderman
Okay.
Clemmons?
I have one more question if I could, and so is to kind of about the outside of it. Is there parking there, and is there a playground and things like that?
Good question. The parking, the plan is to, if you've seen the site, when you look at the facility, there are 3 parking lots, 3 or 4 to the right of it. One of them is being leased by the building across the street from 55. The other 2 or 3 are owned by the church. They're willing to give us an easement to use those parking spaces with no cost, but we would not be able to use them on the weekends. There's also a little bit of parking behind the building, probably 8 to 10 spots back there. And what was your other?
Is there playgrounds currently there, or is that part of the fit up costs?
There is a fenced in area for a small playground. Yes, we would have to put the, at one point in time, there were some toys or devices there. They're no longer there, so we would have to put something new in there. It's to the right of the building. There's a fenced in area.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
Alderman, of course. Alderman Gallagher?
My question is, it's kind of interesting that you're putting high school students and preschool students all with challenges into same building. I'm just wondering, was that really looked at?
That has been discussed. We will separate those students by floor, and there will not be access for the high school students or the younger students to the floor where the other population is. So that will be separated with the doors and things. It's pretty much done already. But that has been discussed. Marcia Bagley, who's our Director of Special Education, is here if she wants to maybe speak to that question quickly, Marcia.
Sure. Mr. Donovan really covered it, but it's also a nice opportunity for our students who are exploring careers after high school to have an opportunity to possibly work with some of our younger students, our students who are working towards their high school diplomas and determining what their transition plans will look like. It's a nice chance for them to have the experience while very supervised with staff and in a highly structured environment.
Okay, because I'm very familiar with Brentwood, and I'm very familiar with the Catholic school as well. And when I read that, I was sort of surprised to know that the intent was to put the young children in as well with the high school students that have challenges.
And so our students who attend Brentwood, what they really thrive in is the smaller class size and environments. We don't have students with significant aggressive behaviors there. I know in years past we may have, but at this time we don't have that level of aggression that we've had in the past.
Thank you.
Alderman Lopez?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about what kind of arrangements we would need to make, if any, with the street infrastructure, considering students busing in and out of Franklin Street in order for drop off and pick up. That would have an impact on an area that already has a pretty sizable exodus, I guess, in the morning and then return in the evening.
Well, we've looked at the site from a transportation viewpoint, and the front of the building will be making more secure, but that's where the drop-off will be. As far as I understand, the plans are now, it will be in the front of the building. There's a sidewalk there. We may at some point need to maybe improve that a bit, but I think at this point we're comfortable that they could drop off in the front of the building, and that they would enter in that front entrance.
I mean, Alderman Clee can probably attest to the possibility of losing a school bus in the potholes at the intersection between Main and Franklin. That street's a little bit tired.
And Alderman Liu.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Alderman Harriet Gathwright's question regarding the mix of populations, and this question through you to Ms. Bagley, is the lack of aggressive, currently your population is not, you're not dealing with that type of difficult student at this time, and is that because of a change in the programming, or is this just a possibly couple of good years? I'm just not clear whether the school has whittled down and they're not dealing, this particular program doesn't deal with aggressive issues.
Brentwood has become more of a therapeutic setting, so we've put into place a lot more supports to support our students before they get to the point of aggressive outbursts. So not to say that, we still have students who get frustrated, but it's not the same level that we've seen in the past. And I think that's maybe a combination of many different things, but I think it's our programming that we've put into place for these students. We've increased our staff and offered more, we have full-time social worker on staff, which Brentwood has never had before. We have a school psychologist who works with those students. So we're providing the students with far more tools to handle their frustrations and the life challenges that they're faced with in a more effective way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, the motion is for to recommend final passage of R2090. Give me just a minute here. Been a while since I've clerked. Okay, Alderman Tenza.
So I'm just going to abstain because I wasn't here for the presentation.
Okay, Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Clemens is yes. Alderman Laws.
Yes.
That's 4 yeas and 1 abstention.
All right, motion carries. New business ordinances.
All right, it's Ordinance 20034, extending temporary adjustments to site plans to allow for greater outdoor seating at restaurants. And I would move to recommend final passage by roll call.
And this one is for you, Director Marchand, if you'd like to we just had the public hearing about it, but.
Correct. So just as said in the public hearing, this is for private property only. When we started this after June, we issued permits for about 15 restaurants, a little bit more, around the city, all on private property and private parking lots. And the intention here is to extend this for 1 year. Some of them will remain open for the winter. Most of them would like the opportunity to open as soon as possible in the spring to continue to serve guests in a COVID safe manner.
As someone who works downtown, I can't overstate the significance of doing this and allowing these restaurants. I mean, it's literally saves some people from getting evicted from their apartments or foreclosing on their homes, being able to make this extra money. So, and money's tight these days for everyone. So I appreciate it. Are there any questions or comments, members of the board? Alderman Tenza?
So Director Marchant, my only question is this something we should be looking at, maybe just making a permanent ordinance rather than extending it because of the COVID? I mean, and I understand why we need to extend it now, but over the next year or so, should we revisit this and think about it so year after year we don't have to keep doing this?
That's an excellent question. As part of the master planning process right now, the intention is to be done with that by next fall, end of next summer, and to be starting to look at rewriting our land use code. You know, many of the spaces that are being used are parking lots that aren't being used anymore. And so these spaces, we have parking minimums and maximums. And the reason why they need special approval is because you wouldn't be allowed to just remove these parking spaces from usage based on our current ordinance. I think that as we move forward after master planning and hearing from the community what's important, thinking about parking and landscaping and the overall design of spaces to allow more outdoor dining would be an incredibly important thing. And it could be wrapped into a larger process there. I don't know that it is needed. I don't think we should just look at this as a separate entity. I think we should look at it as a part of that whole rewrite process.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To that vein, it's a very good point. And to Director Marchant, we're going to have to revisit the Main Street locations as well too. And if we decide to come up with, outdoor dining again, we can encompass this at that particular time. It seems like we have more work to do on both quarters. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think the mayor's office, Public Works, Tim Cummings, Economic Development have all been working really hard on what to do with public spaces. We are working to extend those right now. I know that there's a new outdoor dining, the updated permit for winter usage has been issued, and we are actively in the process of doing those. It's just different considerations, but I think we're all on board to help all of our businesses do the best they can right now, and to be able to be open and to continue and operate in a safe and effective manner. You know, this time of year, we have to look at different wind loadings. We have to look at snow loadings. We have to look at the ability to clear snow and ice and continue to be safe. So it's just looking at all those factors together, a little bit of different considerations than we have to look at in the nicer weather months, which I wish were longer.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Clemens.
Yeah, thank you. I was out the other day, and I was surprised to see people that were sitting outside in what I think is very cold weather. So, just because myself or somebody else, would rather have Florida move up to New Hampshire for the winter rather than go down there, doesn't mean that some people don't like the winter, because I think, and so I think, this just gives businesses another opportunity to really extend their dining season, especially where right now the COVID numbers are going up. And so anything that we can do to help these businesses survive, I think is important, especially because unlike the last time, there is no help coming down from the federal government. So we have to really do everything that we can. And this is just one small step to doing that.
Alderman Lopez.
Yeah, I just have a question for Director Marchant. It's more for confirmation purposes, but if a site is approved for extension of its outdoor dining, they would be doing a site permitting plan. They would have to apply to the Liquor Commission, our own code enforcement, fire, and Board of Health would all have to approve those changes?
So we have we created an online streamlined process. So it's an application that you submit online and it automatically goes to all the different entities who do have to sign off on it. I don't, if you're not making any changes, it's going to be a quick check. If you're trying to keep a tent up for the winter, we do have new standards for those because you have to comply with the snow loading, wind loading, blah, blah, blah. And if you're using outdoor heaters, then you do have a little bit of different standards to submit to make sure that fire knows that everything's installed appropriately and safely. But other than that, I think if it's a continuation, I'm not sure that the Liquor Commission is going to have to re-sign off if they've already signed off once. I think their sign off is good for a year. But yes, it would go through the process that essentially touches all the departments. Everyone gets to see it, make sure it's okay. And we turn those around very quickly, just a couple days.
Okay, that's reassuring. I don't know if you anticipated or if I'm just stating the obvious, but I've been seeing those little like heated lit globes popping up where people can go with their little friends. And I'm thinking like no ventilation, globes are all cool until you're in a flaming globe, if there are 2 exits, all that. So I just want to make sure that we are like, there's some supervision of all this.
And just to add with those globes, I will say that there is air exchange required. And public health has been a part of this team. And so please don't assume that they're not safe. Ask good questions, but we are, and be safe the way you can, but we are trying to make sure that the outdoor spaces are as safe as possible with still operating.
All right, thank you very much.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you, Alderman Laws. I just want to add to something that Director Marchant said. I was looking at those little globes, tents, whatever you want to call them, and I was reading the state's requirements of no, obviously propane, none of those type of things, but that they can blow hot air into them as long as there's exchange both directions. So I just want to reiterate what you said, that it's already built into law that these are things. So I believe that they are safe. I think being at home is safer, but the truth is that, we have to do everything we can to help our businesses, and some people do need to get out. So thank you.
President Wilshire.
Thank you, Alderman Laws. I'm going to support this. I think it's incumbent upon us as a city, if we want to keep our downtown vibrant and moving forward, that this means a lot to those restaurants. I think this saved some of the restaurants, allowing this outdoor dining, and with the Performing Arts Center coming, and I think if we can work this into our downtown permanently, that it would benefit the whole city. So I'm going to support this. And thank you, Director Marchant.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes, I also think it's a great idea to wait the long term to talk to the master plan, because I think that it's been so well received by us and for many, many cities that I think taking the time for the planning that would happen in the master plan is an excellent idea. And I think I would favor passing this to help our merchants right now. And we can look at the longer term as part of the master plan.
I'd just like to add that we do a lot because we care a lot for the downtown businesses and residents in Nashua, and they are the beating heart of our city. And I think we all here realize that. I wish that more members of that community were watching this meeting so they could hear me lecture them right now and say that we're doing this for you, do for us, and for the rest of the community. Adhere to the mask ordinance, keep people safe. Now that Massachusetts is closing their bars early, we're getting a huge number of Massachusetts residents coming into the city around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock every night. And it's just a matter of time. I mean, the numbers have been going up almost exponentially the last several weeks. So we're here for you. Do us a favor and play by the rules and try to keep people safe. So thank you. Are there any more questions or comments from anybody else? All right. That being said, will the clerk please call the roll?
I will. So it is to recommend final passage of 020-034. Alderman Schmidt,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons is yes. Alderman Laws,
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
That's 5 yeas and 0 nays.
All right, motion carried. Tabled in committee.
We have nothing.
Period for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Not seeing anyone. General discussion. Remarks by the alderman. Alderman Tenza.
So actually, just if we could go back to general discussion, since we have Director Marchant here, could I just ask that maybe she give us a quick update for those members who aren't paying attention to the master plan about what's going on and how we can be involved, and ask other people from the community to be involved in that, just briefly.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. I love it. So we are in the process of doing the first round bigger visioning with Imagine Nashua. Please encourage people, if you haven't yet been there, to check out imagine.nashuanh.gov. There's a polling system going on there. There's a bunch of statements, and you press approve or disapprove. And, you know, we seeded it with about 20 statements. There's well over 100 now that have been put in by the community. We've had 14,000 votes already, and we really need a lot more. So we would love your opinion. These are statements about should we have more accessible walking trails in Mine Falls Park? Should some people put in a statement that we should have more music events at Holman Stadium, that we need to have better signage about all the amazing things in our downtown. So you say approve or disapprove, and we're using this amazing software that will help us to kind of understand what people agree with, what they disagree with, and helping us to find some happy mediums there. The next step is talking also in a lot of smaller focus groups with people to get direct feedback. And we're scheduling those and meeting with people. All of that is being documented and leading us into the next big meeting. Will be the second week in January, where we're going to start diving into the topics of housing, arts and culture, mobility, transportation, and all the big topics there. And so please check out imagine.nashuanh.gov. And this week, hopefully tomorrow, we're kicking off a How Do You Imagine Nashua sign, where you print the sign, you write it on there, take a picture, send it in, or send us a video from your favorite spot in Nashua, telling us what would be the best thing you could see, or what do you love about Nashua for 5 or 10 years from now. So that is kicking off this week. You'll see that out there, and please participate, spread the word. And thank you, Alderman Tenza.
Thank you, Alderman Tenza. I'm gonna put that on my Facebook tonight, Director Marchant. Anybody else? Remarks by the alderman? Possible non-public?
There's none.
There is none. Alderman Clemmons.
I would move to adjourn by roll call.
Motion.
Alderman Schmidt.
Motion.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons is yes. Alderman Laws.
Never. All right.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
We have 4 yeses and 1 never.
All right. This motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 7:49 p.m.
Okay.
Nice job.